Top of the morning to you. Hey, I'm Michael, or as the grandkids call me, Roo. Thank you for joining me at 8:57-ish, 8-ish, whatever it is, somewhere in there. It depends on when that piece of music starts. Um, Glad to have you here. Thank you. People say, why don't you just do your show at 9 o'clock? And I go, why don't you do your show at 9 o'clock? 8:57. Ta-da! The 57s, the 37s, I haven't done any 27s, I haven't done any 47s, but 57, 57 that was a good car. That was the classy chassis Chevrolet, the 57. Yeah. Ooh, all right, great automobile. Good to have you here this morning. Let me say hello. Welcome to Roodoodles Live, or as I'm calling you now, the Roo Crew. Man, thank you guys for piling on. It was a painting day yesterday. Man, what a day. It's a good thing that I'm fast brain because here's what happened. I did my show in the morning. I got up, I read, I had some tea. I brought another cup of tea up here. I read for a while. I did my show, and then I ran downstairs to set up for the thing I did for Works Tools. I did that live, and then I literally moved all my studio stuff back up here. Worked on a project for Shutterfly, the big company that does printed photos and books and all the fancy stuff. I'm writing a script and shooting a video for them. So there's one of those with about 20 minutes from me. And so great folks, man, what a great company. And I'm writing a thing about their hiring right now because they're just so busy. You know why? It's because all of you guys have been putting together your photos for the last several months. You're going like, I need these in a book. And so you're bombarding them. And you know what? Great. Bring the economy back however it takes. If it's art or photos, I'll stand for it. Then I came back up and did the show last night with Skeeter Powell and his folks from David's Table. And some of you joined that. It was a great time. So let me say hello. And then I'll tell you what we're going to do today. I'm going to run down a little ledger. And I actually made notes. I know that's hard for you to believe. How can a guy make notes? Here they are right here. Let me show you my notes. There they are. See them? Ta-da! And I'm even using those on the artboard. But look, my goal is simply this: to help you think like an artist, be creative, help you tell a story, help you share what it is you want to share, share your story, whether it's in poetry or photography or painting or poems or potted plants. That last one's not going to work, is it? All right, here we go. Here we go. Let me just run down. Top of the morning, Alex, Skeeter, welcome, welcome, welcome. Alex, I'm glad you like my Pentel, not mine, but you know what? They are great pens. Don't drop it on the tip. Throw it in the trash if you do, okay? So click that button fast. And I don't like click button pens. I really like a cap that comes off because click button pens will sometimes hit on something if I'm carrying one in my pocket. And then, you got a pocket full of ink. Patricia, welcome. Belinda, welcome. Carol, thank you for joining. Margie, good to have you. Crystal, glad you're with us this morning. Brittany, thank you for showing up again, as you do so many times. Debbie Jackson, thank you for being here. Donna, and Jackie Wallace, thank you. Burke, glad you're on board. Look at that. Happy Friday. Judy, you made it like 3 days in a row. Glad to have you aboard the Roo Crew. Glad you're here. Diana, glad you're here. Marion, thank you very much. Love you starting your day with Roo. I appreciate that. Debbie Brown, thank you. Kim Sheets, don't be chicken, paint today. Or don't be paint a chicken today. We can change that as a t-shirt slogan. Belinda says, it says take sunscreen and a big hat. I'm not sure where you're going, but I didn't show up on mine, so that's good. So wherever you go. Hello, Terry Tardy. There you are. Thank you for being here. Here it is. Watch this. I'm going to switch to the desk just for a second here. Boom. There she is. There's the old bee right there. Today is day 78. I feel like my pen is dragging a little bit today. There we go. It was loose. Day 78. That's right. Not counting some Saturdays. I think I'm going to paint tomorrow for a little while too. So yes, as of right now, I am. I'll post something, but I think tomorrow you'll see me on Saturday. Make it 80 days on Monday. So 78 days. Whew. Wow. 78 days. Do you realize how many hours that is I've been talking? Okay. All right. So Deborah, good morning. So Terry, well, from Coos Bay. From Nebraska, Judy Skinner Showen. Thank you for being here. Deborah, Thank you. Good morning. Marie Dole, Angie Bumgarner, Susan Harris. Hey, 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 it's gorgeous, blessed here in DeBerry or DeBerry, depending on where part you're from. Jamie Rice, welcome. Glad you're here. Lee Patkins, good morning to you, my friend. I hope it's good in Boca. I almost said, it's not Boca though, is it? It's that other place, not Boca Raton, but that's Mouth of the Rat. That's not where you live, is it? It's Pompano. I believe you're in Pompano. I could have that wrong. Man, I should remember that, but that's a long way from me. I could get to New York before I can get to your house, brother. Linda, thank you. And Linda, thank you for your card and note. Got that yesterday. Awesome, beautiful painting on the front that you put on there. Someone. Rainy Tennessee morning, Alice. And you painted ducks. Linda said she painted ducks. You need to get with Carla Hardwick because she's got ducks. Okay? All right. She keeps saying, if you'll paint a duck, I'll buy it. If I could paint a duck, I'd sell it. Ducks. Just here, you can paint a duck on a white piece of paper just by doing like a, let me go to a split screen here and let's get moving here. But I think I could paint a duck one of these days. We'll try. All right, so here we go. A little warm up this morning. Glad to have you with me. Going to talk about, seriously, my goal from this whole show has been from the get-go to take a little bit of what I know and not teach you, but storytell your way through learning how to not fear watercolors, but put some onto paper and make something happen. If that turns into cards, if that turns into greeting notes, if it turns into little business cards that you use to encourage other people, so be it. That's the awesome thing. You guys are encouraging me by how you connect with the story and what you're saying and how you're sharing with each other. I mean, we've just got all kinds of stories. Yesterday was a good example. Yesterday at 4 o'clock, some of you popped on and you saw what I was doing. David's Table is an organization that really is a ministry with people, teens and some adults who have disabilities. And they try to give them the most normal life possible. Normal, some of them are more normal than I am, but just have a harder time getting around. And dealing with life with idiosyncrasies that some of us don't have. We're fortunate. We're all highly favored to be on this planet for a season. So Skeeter does that with the crew, and it's pretty amazing. So they do some great stuff. It was fun to be a part of that. It touched me. And some of you wanted to touch them. And I do have an email out to Cheap Joe's and his crew. Once before, my son was a missionary in Africa for about 10 years. And 10 years, for a year. And it's about 10 years ago. And we went there and we took some art supplies. And they gave us just a big thing. And we found some people there who were amazingly talented. In fact, we have an original piece of art from a student there who painted something of the area we stayed in. It's just fantastic. And he'd never had supplies like this. So it helps. All right, here we go. Let me warm up with a little painting. And guess what I started with this morning? I picked up my book again. So I already started it when I walked in here with my tea this morning. And it's in the P's here. You know, this is the book of weird and wonderful words. And all I use it for is a way just to warm up quickly. You know, you could use anything. I have on my desk over there, it says Dictionary of the Old West. Oh, I think that would be great to just tie whatever you decided to paint into that. This particular book has been fun for me to find a word and then just see if I can creatively, there's one I haven't even painted. It must have been something with Ikiarchi, or is it, it must have been something with Ichthyosly, who knows? Here it is. Yeah, Ichthyarchi is the domain of fishes in a fish world. So see, I painted a fish on a weather vane. I don't know where I was going with that one. But usually I'll just find a word and I'll find a definition and I'll think, what does that sound like in Roo speak? If I Roodoodle it, there's your noun for today. You know what I like about Roodoodles? It's Roodoodles is the painting, it's the Roo, it's this, and it also is kind of a noun. It's Roodoodling. So, and it's also a verb, Roodoodling, and it's also Roodoodle. So it's a verb, a noun, and to Roodoodle, I guess, is the adjective. Anyway, where was I? I was in the P's, I think. I'm fast brain. We'll talk about that today too. So the word is Pooking -fork, pooking fork. So if you look up the word pook, Pook, you'll be surprised to find, maybe you know this as farmers and people who live on small tracts of land and garden and keep livestock and chickens, and you would know that that would be the piling up of crops, like when you stack hay. So my wife wants one of these right now. She wants a pooking fork. She wants one that's been split, maybe out of white ash, and you boil it and you spread it out. You put a spreader between it. It's fascinating, and she wants one of those to hang over the mantle. And I'm thinking, well, there's art there. So hang it in the kitchen. You go, well, there's all your bee honey pots. She has a collection of honey pots because my dad was a beekeeper. So it's just fascinating of all the things. So I don't know where we're going to put it, but we need maybe do some hay. And this made me think of what? Monet. You know what I'm talking about? Look at this. Boom. Do a search on haystacks, and there's what you get. Morning, Lynn. Glad you're here. Morning, Crystal. There's the haystacks. Do you know, this is an interesting thing? Tell you what, I just read. I'm a little spoiled because Monet's garden and his lily pads have been a fascination for my wife since she started art at the University of Tennessee, maybe before that, years ago. We had a poster, we had pictures of it, we had all this. We'd never been there. And so last September, we got an opportunity to go there. I didn't see any haystacks, but these were painted within 3 miles of his home in Giverny, or Giverny, as they say in France, or France, depending on how you say it. My point is, when he moved there, over a year and a half period, maybe some say within 18 months, he painted 25 canvases of just haystacks. So when I saw pooking fork and it said, like, used in haymaking when you're stacking this up. So I thought my warm up this morning would be a little rooster who is making a haystack here. So here it is, just really loose. Remember, I'm using a bamboo brush, a little water. The paint I'm painting out of is my typical palette, the little water here and there. And so, all right, so here's what happens. A little music to paint by, I think. Here we go. Let's go a little, did that work? Maybe not. Let's try it again. Oh, yeah. You may not can hear that, but I keep it down for copyright reasons. But it's John Hartford this morning. I used a little Hartford, little fiddle, little banjo. All right, so here's a little blue tail feathers. Just love them to go off the book. As a matter of fact, look at this. I might just let them go down the pages like this. You know what? It's your book, or my book in this case. You can do what you want. But it gave me an idea for another painting, and I'll show you what we're going to do with that. Here's the fork right here. This is out of natural wood. This one's aged quite a bit. So I do this just to warm up, okay? Just get my hands loose. I'm just pushing a brush around here. I'm not making a big deal out of this. I'm just letting it flow in. I see some things in my warm-up that I like, and it helps me sort of be consistent. And that's really hard for a guy who can shift gears as fast as you can, that you have to when you're a watercolor artist, okay? Here's a... Mississippi Doo. All right. I had a thought when I was painting, or when I was looking at this morning. I thought I'd paint this rooster in boots. All right, so there you go. So there he is in boots. And that gave me another thought. So he's taken the pooking, P-O-O-K-I-N-G fork. It's a large pronged fork, handmade, has a long handle where you put the hay into a pook or a stack. So there's our hay right there. Maybe it needs just a little bit of more straw or yellow hay in there. I don't know. Take a look at some of what Monet did. He painted this thing, like I said, over 25 times in different seasons. Has them with snow on them, has them with the sun setting down. In fact, he said one of his complaints was he would go out there every day and try to chase the sun. So, he called that plein air painting. He would go out and set up and try to paint then. Didn't capture things with cameras, just had to go out and remember the scene or paint quickly. In the South, we call that just painting outside. It's not plein air. All right, so there's our warm up painting today, Puking Fort. All right, so here we go. All right, day 78, and I've been doing some smalls. I'm going to do another little small this morning. Look at this one right here. I kind of like this one. Let's see where it goes. Good to have you, Cheryl Ann. Good to have you, Marie. Have I ever watched, let's see, I'm not going to answer that one, but thank you. In Central Ohio. Okay, so if you have questions for me, let me know. Other than that, I'm not going to get into conversation because it'll drag me into where I don't need to go. All right. I'll come back and look for painting questions in a little bit and move on. So there's a little bit of... I think I'm going to take my pen once again. You've seen me do this enough now that you ought to be getting really feeling like you're going to be loose. I think what I'm going to do today is I'm going to start calling these little paints like this, little paintings like this. Sometimes my little warm-up paintings, I'm going to call those tinies. And I've got a whole list of tinies that I think I'm going to post this weekend just to move. I'll show you some in a second. Got a bunch of little tinies over there. Okay, so this I'm just taking my brush with water, and this is the ink from my pen. Remember, this pen is a fountain pen that has Speedball ink in it. When I say Speedball ink, I mean literally from the company Speedball there. It's ink cartridges and all the stuff that I don't read on the back, but I should probably. Don't eat it. Okay. All right. So now I like this just with a black tail, because I think what I'm going to do to his body is I think I'm going to go in here and I'm going to get a swirl of purple, which you don't see very much. You don't see me use purple too much, but this called for a little bit of purple and a swirl just like that. I kind of like it. And I think I'm going to go down here on the bowling ball. Yes, I said bowling ball, and put a little bit of this swirl here too. I'm going to go get some of that out of here if I can. Let's see. Just take this and punch it out like that. Oh, perfect. Sometimes if you put too much paint in while it's still wet, just take your cloth, that's your blotter, which is in my case a paper towel, a brand new one I might add. Look, I should probably change this one before I get to 100. What do you think? 100 days. I had a clean one somewhere, but I guess I used it. All right. And a couple things I can do here for these shadows. I can go in here with a little bit of a pen and just sort of circle these like this. Am I the only person that ever thinks that bowling balls look like faces? You know, they kind of look like Wilson in that movie Castaway, you know? Yeah. A little yellow there, a little yellow there, you know. Bowling balls need to have, they're swirly. Sometimes you go and you don't get the bowling ball because of the way it fits so well if you go to these bowling alleys. Man, other bowling alleys have had a hard time during COVID, right? You can't put your finger in a bowling ball, and you can't then put your finger in a glove, then you can't, yeah. Whew, tough time here, folks. Tough time. I hope you're holding up well. I hope you're encouraging someone else. I hope you're doing something creative. All right, that's what my show is about. Hey, let's show you a new product. Ready? Here it is. Take a look. It's brand new. I've had it for 10 years. Coconuts always also have faces. Here, look. It says sketch and wash. Sketch and wash. Watch what happens on a sketch and wash pencil. It's a pencil. It's total graphite, but it's graphite that has the ability to break down a little bit. Look at this. I'm going to just draw. I'm going to take a pen here, and I'm going to draw this bowling ball again. There it is there, okay? And then I want a little shadow down here under the bowling ball. Look. Just put a little of that graphite pencil. See that? Now watch if I just take my brush, clean brush, and put a little bit of water in there. Look what happens. Oh my gosh, why didn't you tell us about this before? Ha! Okay, see what happens? And then if I touch it with a little bit of this purple, look what's going to happen. It's going to make the shadow match the shadow of my bowling ball. Is that cool? All right. Bingo. So let's sketch and watch. So what I was going to do is I was going to come in with a little of this pencil this morning just for shadow. Um, there it is right there. There's going to be the little round shadow coming off the back of the ball right there. Go get my brush and just go get a little bit in here and swing around like so. Okay. There we go. All right. So there's a tiny. It is a cool pencil. It's called Sketch and Wash. Hey, by the way, I think you can get this at Michael's. It's made by Generals, Generals. Generals. They do a lot of sketching art supplies. You'll find this where pencils and pens and erasers, mostly pencils, are sold, like sketching pencils. You get a layout pencil is really good. I don't use charcoal very much. Old painters use charcoal to sketch things out in charcoal, then they paint over it. Charcoal gets all over me. I'm a blacksmith already, so I used to have coal dust all over me, so I don't need any more charcoal on my deck. But every now and then I do a spray and wash, or spray and wash. I just did a commercial for spray and wash. A sketch and wash. You know, I guess they should have thought of another name, but it's so perfect, isn't it? Sketch and wash. All right. Love it when my bowling ball matches my shirt. Red Skelton. Yes, I know. He laughs at himself. He did while he was on this planet. My son sent me a link last night, a text actually, and said, the boys and I are watching Frogs. And it was Red Skelton. I remember showing it to my boys when they were little, and now my son's showing it to his boys. It's an old video of Red Skelton reading a takeoff on a Rudyard Kipling poem that was called Boots. Maybe that's why I was thinking about Boots this morning. Boots. But he goes, frogs, frogs, they're coming up the road, frogs. So anyway, there's no silence in the night. I miss Red Skelton too, Marie. Okay, I miss him very much, and may God bless. He was the best. He was the best. Okay, so there you go. There's a tiny. I call that a tiny. I'm going to put out a whole group of tinies that have just been piling up here on my work desk. There's one. There's a tiny. Here's a tiny from yesterday. Coming in hot. Okay. Here's one that I haven't finished. This is a tiny. It's going to be a fly fishing. Here's a little tiny. Yeah, Generals also makes the tri-tip eraser, Alex. You're right. There it is right there. Shaboom. Okay. Got it, man. Thanks. Caught you on the fly. Here's a tiny. I'll show you this little painting in a second. There's a tiny I did yesterday that I thought would be perfect to post at the kitchen. In fact, Brittany, I think, said she wanted this. The dishwasher is here, and I'm going to throw these in a tiny pile too. I need a brush. My comb is not working, and what did I come out here for? Okay, the two that I did as demos the other day. And here's a little painting for you to see while I clear all this up. Here you go. Called the shrimp boat. Take a look. Here's the painting right here in real life. I came in last night and I just was having a cup of tea late, and I sit down here at the art bar and I painted this shrimp. Just remember, I don't throw paper away, so this is a holdover strip of paper from just something I'd cut off. It's probably about 3 inches. Look at that, 3 1/8 exactly. So I just ripped something off I needed, but I keep this paper. So there's the shrimp, and then I thought, what if he wasn't in the water? What if he were? I think I did one of this like this a long time ago. What if he were? What if he were floating in the air? What if he were the lookout for the kids? So here are the kids down here splashing around in the water. There's one in a little. Oh, here it is. There's the ducky right there. He's in a little rubber ducky. See? Bingo! Look at this. There, he's in a little one of those little rings. So the shrimp are down here, and then he says, "Dive, dive, shrimp boat, 2 o'clock." You know, wow, it just happens sometimes. There it is. Okay, so I'll throw that in the tiny little thing too. I just wanted you to see. So what I do on that sometimes, I'll just set up a camera and I'll hit time lapse, and then I'll just paint, not worrying about the camera, and then I'll dump them back over and throw a little track on there, and that's kind of what I do. Here's an idea that I had thinking about boots this morning, and I was out working on my deck last night because I got to get it ready for an event that we do here at the house. We used to do it with the symphony, but the symphony's not playing this year, right? I mean, so you can't go be a part of the symphony anywhere because, well, they just can't get together. It's hard to figure out that they can't sit. The platform they play on is small. So if 80 people come in to sit on a 40-foot platform and they're 6 feet apart, you do the math. That means all the trumpet players are going to be in the water. This is suspended over a lake. And so, yeah, that's not going to work. Plus, with COVID, they couldn't do it. But just let that other part kind of go through your mind there for a little bit. I would have loved to have written the memo to say, here's why we're not going to be allowed to play Pops in the Park. It's because the platform is too small. And maybe the bassoon players will be in the water. Okay, tuba players, they'd be making a raft. You know, they'd be like going like, tuba players are like, hey. And there are no accordion players because they could have gone out in the parking lot and built a fire and had a fun time. All right, so here we go. So this is my boots right here. I thought these would look like a little bit of a kind of a Western boot. You see it coming in there just a little bit. I don't. Was that you, Margie, that said you don't, or Carol, you don't have the confidence to draw anything in ink? Well, you can only mess up a couple times. So just get confident and do it. You know what? Just let it happen. I think these boots, you're going to think they look a little big, right? I mean, come on. Where did this rooster get these boots? And that's what made me think about this whole thing. And I did some pencil on this. You see them? I penciled it in. And then I'll take my General's tri-tip. There it is right there. And I'll knock off a little bit of this pencil mark, just like so. Excuse me. Man, working outside yesterday, the allergies have, all right, there's a little bit of lines on the boot, and you probably got a line across the heel right here, and you got a double heel. You probably got a little fancy stitch coming around in the boot like this, you know. These are cowboy boots. You know what cowboy boots are, right? So you got a little bit of stitch there, and you got a little bit of a sole coming back. There we go. So there's my boots. Looks like a baby Roo. It could be a baby Roo, or it could be a big Roo, like so. Got to have an apple box in the drawing just because it's my art and I get to choose what's in there. Take a look at this. Got a bunch of little peeps piled up here on the apple box. And here's how I draw my peeps. And I worked with this for a while. I sat down one day with a little piece of paper and I thought, I want to do some peeps. What are they going to look like? I want them to look like the same whimsicalness of the rooster. And so that's what, they don't really have a full comb, but they're just kind of fuzzy. But I don't want them too fuzzy. I want a little definition, but I want them to have a little bit of a spray of hair or feathers or whatever that is on chickens. And so, so I kind of like them just like this. So this is what I've kind of come to over the years, and now it's gotten me to where they make me laugh, because I think they're kind of comical looking. Their eyes just a dot, and they're all stacked up here. There's a bunch of them on the box. They're all getting the marching orders for the day. Maybe there's actually one sitting right here on the boot. Okay, didn't even think of that until right now. None of this is planned out. You can tell. All right, so a little bit of need a little bit of a ground in here, a ground swell. Could use that new pencil I just told you about. Let's give it a little shot. There's a little bit right there. Might even give some in here in the corners of this box, just to show you that I can use the tools I throw out on the desk. I try not to have, look, I got 700,000. Okay, I exaggerated there. I got 70 different pens or pencils or brushes. You think I'm kidding? Take a look. This is just some brushes that I haven't used since you've seen me paint. Look at this. Yeah, it's a problem when you start doing this for 10 years. This is all just bamboo brushes, and guess what? They're all in. They're in a piece of bamboo. Is that cool? I just cut this off of a friend's yard and cut a section off. It has a bottom in it already, and I just made it as my brush holder. And it falls over all the time, but I like it because of how it looks. Okay. All right, so there we go. So there's the painting this morning. Uh, all right, I'm looking at some interesting comments come in. You have little chicks right now. They remind you of kittens. Yeah, they are pretty funny. How they kind of wobble and they fall over, and they'll run around for just a little bit, and then they'll just go to sleep with their heads down, beep, which cracks me up big time. Okay, the way they just kind of fall apart. These little chicken legs right here got some little spots on them. There he is. So you see he's got his feet stuffed down in these big old boots. River runs strong after I have gone in the steamboat. I listened to steamboat music this morning. Skipping into Mississippi Dew. All right, here we go. Let's paint this. Moving on, down to half of the hour. Here we go. Let's see. Let's put some red in here. I'm using Joe's red this morning just because I like it, and it's what my pan is filled up with. Sometimes it's red hot. Sometimes it's hot mama. Sometimes it's Joe's red, but I really do like the red that pulls in on this white paper. It's fun. Sometimes I'll take a little bit of yellow and I'll just punch it right in on top. You might not see it. You might see it a little later as it starts to bleed in a little bit. I like the beak, just this Gambo G yellow. I hit the red there a little bit, and look, it runs in there. It's an overpowering, it's definitely an overpowering color. So now I'm just going to come in here and stripe a little bit down. I'm going to add a little water to that and just let it flow a little bit like you do. This needs a little red right here. There, and now look, I love that little swish come around. See it? Perfect. Okay. Let's just go in here and do this tail in some pretty fun black. And this is just lamp black out of my palette. Here it is right here. Lamp black. Brittany says she wears her cowboy boots cutting the grass. Well, that's good if you're cutting a cow pasture. But I wore mine just the other day. Not my cowboy boots, but my old double H Wellington-like boots. And maybe that's what made me think of this. I bet that's exactly what it came from. I was doing some work outside, and I'm a Bluntstone kind of guy. You know what Bluntstones are? They're made in Australia. Man, they are great, great boots. They're very lightweight. I wear them constantly. They have become the boot of choice in my world. Blundstone, Blundstone. My first pair came from a television show that my son was writing and producing, and Blundstone was the sponsor of that show. I'm thinking these boots have to be a little brown. Let me see what I have. Way over here in the corner of my palette, I have some brown hiding. I need to get that down here just a little bit. May have to go buy some ugly brown, as Neil Mallory calls it. All right, so here we go. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's going to be good. That's going to be a good old farm boot color right there. See, I'm trying not to do this too precise, and that's part of being loose. Just let the brush just sort of have its own little mind, okay? Just let it go. And I know that's silly because the brush can't have its own mind, but you know what I'm saying. People come in sometimes and they try to go, I want to go so close to this line right here because it's supposed to be matchy matchy. Stop doing that matchy matchy stuff, okay? So break out a little bit, have some fun, all right? Judy Bell's got time. I think this is a song where he breaks into the sound of a steamboat with his mouth. Reminds me of Tom Sawyer. A little dark in between there. There we go. Just I'm spending a little more time on these boots because I want them to look like, they're they're getting there. These are pretty good. I like them. Now maybe some black marks on the toe here. A little more dark on the heel. Maybe there's a little bit of this color on the heel too. Got a little mud on there. He's been out in the farmyard. Okay. Remember I put that sketch and wash brush on this box. So here's what I thought would happen if I put a little gray on there. And I just chanced it. I didn't check it anywhere. I just go see if it would work. Here's what I did. I just put that spray and wash. Guess I'm going to say that one more time, and then I'm going to have to go get some spray and wash and paint with it. Sketch and wash pencil. Okay. I just put it in here a little bit like this to pick up some shadow, and then I put a little touch of gray, thinking I might get a weathered look. So that's kind of what I was going for there, just a little weathered look. And I didn't want to compete with the boots, okay? So I made a decision on the fly to just go, don't want that to be as brown. I don't want to lose the boots in that, okay? So here comes the peeps. Guess what color they are? They're as bright, bold yellow as I can get. A little extra water in the brush. There's one. There's one. Maybe come in with a little more orange on this one right here. There he is. This one's going to have a little more brown back here. Let's just say there's one back there anyway. You can't see him, but he's going to be tied in with this one. There. This one's going to be bright yellow. I just choose these colors as they come to me, and I think they look the part. Now I'm just going to go in here and get a little bit of this fuzz that goes up on their head. See that right there? This would be the little hairs. This would be, I can fill that out with the brush. And it's okay if you run out of the lines. People, it's okay. Run out of the cotton picking lines. All right? All right. I use an opposing color for the beaks just so they pop a little bit. And if you look at little peeps, and by the way, I got a painting last night from Eve, I think, who sent me a note and said, oh my gosh, my little roos are in, and they're fantastic. And she sent me several pictures of them. Not her little roos, but the little peeps are in, or the chicks, or the beeps, or the biddies, or the whatever you guys call them. Everybody calls them something different. All right, so there's that little bit. I'm going to put a little bit of green under here now, just to mix with the shadow left from the boots, and I don't even want that to be too symmetrical. I'm just going to push it a little bit, okay, like I did. There we go. All right, so there's the painting so far. A little bit on the legs here. A little bit of Payne's Gray splashed down in here. Let me come in with my pen and do some nails in the box, a little bit of detail. This is the interesting thing that you think you can't do in watercolor, and you can. Come back a little bit later, and you'll just have to be the judge of, is it dry enough yet, or can I do it now? Do I want the pen to bleed out a little bit? And so I tend to just rush it sometimes, but I love that look anyway. I'll come back in now, and I'll put just, if I see my pen not making a mark, it's probably because the paint is too wet, and I'm pushing the ink just a little bit. But here I can go in and get some grass to come up on the sides. I don't worry about painting the grass green. I drag my brush just through or my pen just through the paint a little bit. It picks up a little bit. Clean my pen out next time before I go in. Okay. All right. So this guy is he's a little threadbare, as I call him when I paint him like this. He's been running a little bit, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Because here's the caption. Okay. That's a pretty good cowboy boot right there. I kind of like it. Yeah, I'd wear that. Let me touch a little more yellow on those legs. I just want them to pop a little bit more against those brown boots like that. See that? Okay. All right. So I think the caption is going to be real simple here. I'm going to put a little bit of sky out here. I'm going to pick up that little drop of paint right there and that one and put a little touch of blue in here. My brother would say there's enough blue in the sky to make cat britches. So I think that's going to be enough sky. We don't need any more than that. Don't want to take away from the Roo. After all, he's the star of this thing. I think I like a couple more little around the eye, maybe a little bit of lines here. I think you can see what I'm doing with this pen. Just a little detail work, okay? Coming back in. Here's the thing. Well, I'm always telling you that I'm ADD, ADHD, and or actually I don't use those terms anymore. I'll say it and then I'll follow it up by saying I'm fast brain. I wanted to show you something this morning because sometimes your kids, your grandkids, your children, maybe you have been picked on because someone says, well, he's ADD, and they see that as a stripe against them, a strike against them. And I wanted to say that no, when I spent about a year and a half going back and forth to Raleigh and working with Dr. Jim, I did a lot of videos for his company just explaining that this might be more of a gift than a disability. And so, how does that work? Well, because sometimes having a brain to be able to look at this and review and tell a story and paint and do all the things that I do, it's how I work. It's how I had yesterday to paint, to go run outside and set up for another show, to do the show and talk about tools that I really like. It's not just a advertisement. It's tools that I really use because I'm a maker. That's just if you took away my brushes and my paper, I'd go make something out of something else. I'd go find a piece of wood and I'd start to whittle a rooster. There's one that's coming in. Several of yours go out in the mail today. I'm sorry for the delay on several whittled roos that I did. I think there's 4 down there. I had them packaged in envelopes and I changed that and I brought them back from the post office after I mailed some books and other paintings, and I'm putting them in boxes. So now they're going out today in boxes. I just feel like they'll be a little safer. So that's why there's been a little delay on some of that. But part of that, me being able to switch. So I want to show you something that is a true advertisement, not for me, but for my dear friend, Dr. Jim Poole. There it is right there. It's called Flipping ADHD on Its Head. See that? I think you can probably see it if I hold it up here too. Flipping ADHD on its head. Too far. Nope, there you go. You can see it right there. You see the back on this camera, but there's what it looks like. Great book. In fact, I got to sit down with Matthew, his son, for several, months back and forth, and we helped form some of the stories and just talk to them in outline form and hammer them down in storytelling. And then he sat down and Matthew sat down and Lily and his wife sat down and they all put this together and she edited just an awesome version. So I want to tell you just one thing I wanted to share, and I saw it this morning while I was reading it again. It says, because sometimes kids will get picked on and your grandkids will get picked on because someone says, well, they're ADD and they're ADHD. And we're going like, no, that's not even called that anymore. It's now called fast brain, according to Dr. Jim. And isn't that a thing? Here's what he says in the flap. It isn't a disability, it's a gift. And so Dr. Jim Poole is his name, and you can find the book out there. Because here's the negative context when a teacher says, oh, he's easily distracted. You know what that means? That means I'm just curious. He's forgetful. No, I'm engaged in the moment. That's why I write things down. That's why you'll find notes all over the place when you're dealing with me. That's fine. You'll find other notes here. You'll find little pieces of paper that are just floating and flying around the room because that's how I work. I'm engaged in the moment. Right then, I can follow through. I can put the nails on the box. I can put the hairs on the legs. It's because I'm thinking of those details. I just get busy on it at the time. But don't expect me to to remember everything, so I make a note. Okay, can't stay on the point. I see others, and you said, no, I just see things that others miss. You might miss a painting like this. This is where my captions come from. You might miss a painting that says, oh, that rooster's standing on a bowling ball, and I go, no, he loves it when his ball and the mat and his shirt match. And that's kind of where my headings come from. So I found these things and I went, oh my gosh, that's me. Or am I impulsive? And you're going to say, yes, you are. And I say, no, I'm creative. Give me the MacGyver mentality. Give me a gum wrapper and 2 rubber bands, and I'll make a slingshot and pop a squirrel. Okay? Disorganized? Yeah, but I'm spontaneous. Am I stubborn? I'm persistent. I'll come back at you on something. Am I inconsistent? I have flashes of brilliance. Isn't that a great little way to turn this thing around? So it's called flipping ADHD on its head. You know what? If you have the tendency, if your children or grandchildren have the tendency, it's a great way to start. He goes into some awesome things over here about diet and schools and medication, why he likes it, why he doesn't like it. It's got a tender story in the beginning when someone just said, am I normal? And he said, of course you're not. You are perfect just like you are. None of us want to be just normal. Hey, the reason you watch my show sometimes is because somebody said to somebody else, that guy's not normal. He's just not normal. Thank God for that. There's enough of normal boredomness out there. Okay? So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it today. Okay? And that's the philosophy. Yes, if we stress this at all our teachers, and by the way, we do stress it with teachers, and that's what he's all about. Here it is right here. Roodoodles. Man, got that in no time flat. I wanted to do a little spot because the book was on my desk this morning. I've been reading it again, and I'm just loving it. And I'm going back in there, and I'm remembering a year and a half spent with him shooting videos and laughing. And one time he told me, standing in my yard, he's here, and I'm shooting a video. And I said, Dr. Jim, you need to remember this, this, this. And he said, you know, I just need a longer short-term memory. And I just put the camera down and laughed out loud. And I said, that's brilliant. So I use that line sometimes. I go, like my friend Dr. Jim says, I just need a longer short-term memory. That's why I use note cards. And that's why I use journals. And then journals. I painted my journals. My journals are a mess. And by the way, see, Michael's just sent me a coupon for 50% off this morning. So that means I'm going to go get a new watercolor journal. That's one of these that I take notes in on Sunday mornings. This is my Sunday morning take a journal to church book right here. It's watercolor paper. It's 140 pound, and I draw pictures in it. Take a look. This is my life. You want to see a Sunday sermon on 8/27, almost a year ago? That's it. These are the ones. So this one's full, and I filled up another one. These are my Sunday sermon notes. There's probably a picture, the mountains they call us. Went up there to Chip's house last week. Here's a gate I was drawing for someone and a kitchen chair. It's about time we pulled up a chair. These books are about 25 or 28 bucks, so 50% off today. So I'm gonna go snag up one. Okay, that's great paper. All right, too long to put a caption on this, so you have to see it when I post it. But I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what it says. I'm just gonna sit there and write it, and I want to write it very neatly across here. But here's what I think it's gonna say. Okay, what's the story? The story is he's running outside. They're all anticipating what he's going to say. Matter of fact, maybe they're jumping up and down a little bit. So we'll come in here and just pop a little bit of yellow splatters right in there because loose feathers are going places. He's going to say to them, when I count to 3, run out like something, like the biggest fox in the world is chasing you because I stole his boots. He's going to run out barefoot. It's going to be something like that. Okay, so there's my painting. I love it when the rooster steals the farmer's boots. All right, let's do the last painting this morning with a little bit of flair. So here it is. I told you about my tinies. I told you about Monet's garden with flair. Look at this. Here's why I say with flair. I mean flair. There they are right there. These are the old flares, okay? These are the ones before they went with the smooth barrel. So these were purchased last plug about 10 years ago, and I keep the caps on them very tightly. Keep them in an iPhone box. Well, there's a nice piece of art. Look at that. Somebody did that. Okay. By the way, I think I'm going to get a Roo phone cover. Because Shutterfly has starting to print phone covers with photographs. And so I'm down there doing the tour, going through and working on this script that I'm writing for them. And she said, I said, well, I haven't seen this thing before. She goes, that came down from Minneapolis, and that's Prince phone covers. I'm going, you got to be kidding me. So I think I'm going to do a Roo that gets turned into a phone cover for your iPhone. I love it. I love it. I love it. Haven't ever thought of anything I wanted, and I want that. What happened to my music? It just went crazy there. He had the whole band come in. All right, here we go. A painting with flair. Flares are on eBay. Yes, flares are on eBay, but sometimes they're not the old ones. You gotta make sure that they have the little grooves here. Listen. Okay, the new ones are smooth barrel, and they're about the same, but I like the old school. You know, most architects use these things for a long time. There's a black one. I have 2 black ones in there. I don't need that one. Even got a fine line one. I'll put him in here. Okay, and there's my infamous white ones. All right, so a handful. I'm gonna keep them right in the hand. When my wife paints oil, she will have 4. She'll have a roll of paper towels under her arm. The canvas is up, and she'll have 4 brushes in her hand at the same time. I mean, it'll be like this. It's the wildest thing. She'll be going like, and then she'll grab a brush and put this one over here. You don't want to lay your brush down. You don't want to change it at the moment. It's a very fast brain type thing that she does. It's pretty fun. All right, so here we go. Anything Roo would be cool. Thank you. We all want a Roo phone cover. Okay, I'll get on that. All right, my new deal here. Got to write it down. Roo phone cover. All right, got it on my notepad here, so I'll do something about that today. Did you know that I thank you for watching this show and spending an hour of your time? I really do. Do you know that over 100 million hours of videos watched on Facebook every day? Oh my gosh, 100 million hours. So thank you for giving me an hour of your time. And let's talk about stories and how to be creative and how to encourage other people. And I really do mean when I'm serious about being creative, you can do it. I threw that pen down. It's a blue one. All right, here we go. See there, I just did it. I was right in the middle, and I interrupted myself. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take I'm going to do the whole thing with flair. Here's a Roo with flair. Let's see. He's going to be standing very stalwart. There's his beak right there. I love sketching these things. It's crazy. Who would have thunk it? Not I. All right, there you go. There's a Roo with flair right there. Now notice what's happening on this piece of paper already, where I just whip my hand across there. There's a little bit of a bleed. And so I don't want these to dry too long because the ink still runs a little bit. But watch this. I'm going to go around here just a little. I don't like when they don't bleed too much. So I'm just going to start doing this already. Here, so I'm going to start picking up some of this and just letting it come together. So I'm using this just like I would use watercolor. And if you act quick enough, you get almost all the lines out. See that? That's pretty awesome, isn't it? All right. So I'm going to take a little straw colored one here. I'm holding them all in my hand. Can you see that there? I'll try to get in here tightly so you can see this is pretty fun to just kind of reach in your hand and pull something like so. And so we'll just go back and forth. There's a little bit of that. I might touch a little bit of orange in here, just like this right here, on top of that yellow, and then go get a clean brush, a little bit of water, and start putting that together too. Smooth up his beak just a little bit, and let this kind of come on down. Look at that, just with the tip of my brush. See that? This is all done with Flair pens, okay? Haven't put any of my paint palette in there at all. Just still going with the Flair. Let's see if this is still wet enough to bleed over here. Oh yeah, look at this. And a Flair pen, remember our little key that we did? Of course, if you don't. But some of you do. You've been with me now for 78 days. You've seen me take the Flair pens and do a little key. All right. I can come back in now and add a little bit of this blue inside there. And look what it does when I put it into the water. Okay. Till it gets too saturated, and I have to let it dry a little bit. I have to dry the tip out Put the cap back on. All right, so I'm going to give that a chance to dry. I'm going to drop down on his legs here. Let's see. What if I come in here, come in on the legs, and I'll use a little bit of this straw again here. This is what you do when you're out traveling and you look over at the child's desk and you go, or in the waiting room, you're somewhere and you see some flare pens. You go, yeah, I'll take a couple of those, and you go doodle because you didn't want to bring your watercolor stuff into the office because they didn't think you were interested, or so. I'll just doodle on something. This is great for restaurant tablecloths, and you have a couple flares in your pocket if you got a meeting going on. All right, so that the mixture between the black flare and the orange and the yellow gives me great color on his legs. Let's see what I can do for. Need to have a little green in there. This is kind of interesting flare. I don't know how old this flare is, man. It's about losing its oomph too. I think it's about to see its better days. So we'll just get a little green on the bottom end of this roux here. Let that go up into the black like that. See how that I just joined all that together. Except I'm going to have a line across there. There it is. All right. Melinda Bernard, how are you doing? John can have. I was playing watercolor pencils this morning. Not as bright, but they are precise. Yes, watercolor pencils. By the way, if you want to get into watercolor pencils, you might enjoy doing just that. There you go. These are Kimberly, I think, and these are and most of these without tops on them are Prismacolor, and they are pretty expensive. Prismacolor's proud of their markers. These were probably given to me as a gift because I don't know if I went out and just parted with the cash to pick them up. But take a look. There's a whole jar of watercolor pencils right there. And watercolor pencils are pretty interesting, and they do better than the flares, actually. What I do, though, is I respond by putting the water in pretty quickly so you don't see a lot of pen marks, which is not that that's a bad thing. I like pencil sketches where you do see a lot of pen marks, but I don't particularly like it when I'm painting with flares and stuff. I just don't like too much of it. And that's a personal taste. You might just love it, and more power to you for that. So what I'll do is I'll just pile up a little bit like here, and then I'll come in like that red on top of that blue like this, and then I'll come in with the pencil. And this might not be looking too interesting and professional, as some of you are going like, what's this guy doing? This isn't Miss Wilson's third grade class. No, but here's the thing. This is a great way for you to start and be loose as you paint more and more and more, okay? All right, so there's a quick little rundown of how to paint with flare pens. Boom. If I wanted to come in with this pen or even this pen, this is called a fine line flare, ultra fine, made by Papermate. Yeah, and some of you are going to say, oh, watercolor pencils are just wonderful. We love them. They're great. That's just what you get used to. It's what you like. It's what you love. And so I, particularly for my bold paintings, like to do real watercolor paint. But I also love coming in and doing a little detail with a pen that's got a lot of meat to it, and that would be the ink in this fountain pen. Hartford's gone off the charts. It's about 4 old Hartford albums put together, I think, from years ago. I'm not listening on any service. This is actually a CD recorded. I met John Hartford back in Black Mountain, North Carolina, back in, late 80s, I guess. We had a good little conversation one evening in a restaurant, a little bar called McDib's. Just a quick conversation as he was sitting by the door. And I said, you know what? I have an album of yours from 1967 called Earthwords. And he said, I'll buy it from you. He said, I didn't know there were any of those albums out there anymore. All right, there you go. A little splatter and we're done. Paint with flair. Live that way. Roodoodles. Actually put the year on there. There it is right there. I need to put a little blue in the sky, don't you think? Just for fun. Put the brush down and back away from the painting, okay? All right, it's going to be a wrap. Here's what it is. I'm going to put a caption on this painting right here. Something about stealing the farmer's boots because it makes me laugh. I'm going to list some tinies either later today or first thing in the morning. I'm going to have some of these tinies up. Okay, the shrimp painting, the bowling ball shirt, the green nail file for sinking up on grasshoppers. I might even finish this fly. These two paintings, which were mostly done with ink, I like this style sometimes. I think my next watercolor book is going to be done in this style. I love it. The tiny one, Brittany, I'm going to throw this aside for you right now. Boom, because you asked me about it yesterday and I almost forgot. I got friends, you'll see. I love this painting. He's getting ready to eat the grasshopper and the little bee's getting ready to come in and drop a rock on the bird. Life has a cycle, people. It's okay. Coming in hot. I think this bee is flying in. And then I had another little wren that was just a quick sketch here. Stop clowning around. I'm being busy. So there it is. Those are going to go out at just a really reduced price, a few bucks each. A few bucks is what's a few bucks? 20 bucks, 25 probably, something like that. And those would be the tiny sale. You'll see it. I'll throw this one in there too. Paint with flair. So that's it. Until I see you tomorrow. Okay. Thank you for joining me here and learn a little bit of history and being inspired. The doctor's name one more time is Dr. Jim Poole, Poole. Fast Brain. Or you could just, you know what? You could Google Fast Brain. FastBrain. Fast Brain. Think of head with two eyes. Think of a brain with two eyes in it. Fast Brain, two eyes. Spell it incorrectly. That's what he did. He's fast brain like me. He's a fun guy. Okay? All right, not a mushroom, but a fun guy. All right. Go pick some blackberries and I'm out of here. It's 10 o'clock. Got to go. Ordered the book already. Yes, Carol, I think I may have shipped it. If not, it should be on its way to you. You should be getting books in the next day or two. They go medium mail so they don't crush them and do all that good stuff. I hope to have a great day. You guys do too. I'll answer some questions later. I'm out of here.